All right, it looks like everyone is muted except for me. So I am officially starting the meeting with my Melly Bell and welcome you all here today on this beautiful November day. Couple of opening comments. We have some important committee meetings next week, one of which is the World Community Services Committee. They meet on Tuesday mornings at 7:30. If you've ever been curious about what they do, reach out to me or to anyone that's, reach out to me. I'll get you the link, the dial-in number, etc. So that is that. Also next week, I'll talk to you about the next week's program, but in addition to the program next week, we will also be honoring our veterans. As you know, it's one of our very special components to our meetings every November around Veterans Day. And this year will be very special, and our own Rotarian Bill Houston will be leading us on that. So hope you can join us next week. With that, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Our inspirational moment today will be given by Mark Donovan. Mark is a retired paralegal with Wade Ashwoods, Hill and Farley. And Mark, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Debbie. Good afternoon, friends. A member of Rotary named Tommy Spalding wrote about our founder, quote, "Paul Harris didn't build an organization, he built a movement." Think about with me what it means to be part of a movement. Those of us who were able to meet with Rotary International President Holger Knock on Sunday certainly felt the passion and dedication that he brings to the Rotary movement, seeing all of our achievements and positive impacts on the world. For insight into what each of us as individuals can do in these challenging times, let's turn to the words of Abraham Lincoln, who wrote, "The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present." Boy, the present is certainly stormy, isn't it? "The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise with the occasion. As our case is new, so we must think anew and act anew." At this point in time, as members of a movement, let us commit to being sure that our actions match our ideals and that we serve as examples of compassion, dedication, and fairness. Thank you. Back to you, President Debbie.
That was very beautiful, timely as well. Thank you. Our club secretary's report will be delivered by Troy Szymanski, partner and fund manager of Outpost Fund.
Thank you very much, Debbie. First off, want to thank all of our guests who were able to join this week. Don't have the time to go through names today, but a warm Club 31 welcome to all of you. Some birthdays this week. I want to wish a happy birthday to Michelle, Jerry, Jim, and Kevin. So send them a message. We might not see it in the chat channels, but I hope a lot of you do send private messages. You can send to individual people. So happy birthday to the four of you. And then finally, some announcements for this next week. Our virtual happy hour will be tonight at 5:30. Last week, we with the canceling of without having a lunch meeting, we also canceled the evening happy hour. So I would encourage all of you to join us tonight at 5:30. The Zoom link will be provided in our meeting recap email directly following this meeting. Join us next Thursday, November 12th, as we start our program by honoring our veterans. This year will be a little different since we're unable to hold our Veterans Parade, but that shouldn't stop our members from donning their medals and uniforms if you can still fit into them. That is a joke that was provided for me. It wasn't me, but the sentiment holds true. Definitely still wear your uniforms if you can for our virtual event. Reservations for in-person attendees at our next hybrid meeting on November 19th will be sent out today. If you plan to join via Zoom, your reservations are not required. Denver Council on Foreign Relations and Rotarians Rob Clinton and Sid Brooks are extending the generous offer to their fellow Rotarians for a bonus online evening program next Wednesday, November 11th from 7 to 8. This event is free, and you will hear from Constance Steselmuller, Senior Fellow in the Center of the United States and Europe at Brookings Institution, talking about the consequences of the US election for the Transatlantic Alliance. More information will follow later today and in our meeting recap. President Debbie, that's all from me.
Thank you. Next up is Jim Johnston, who is our Quest 31 Strategic Planning Chair. Jim, as you know, is also our past club president and is part of angel investor and retired M&A advisor.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. Just a real quick moment, following up on last week's meeting where we talked about Quest 31 and the progress we've made there. It was kind of a high-level presentation for everybody. I'm announcing some town hall discussion opportunities. We're calling it town hall, and I don't know exactly what that means, other than we really want to hear from people, have people ask questions, and just have discussion. And so 2 times have been set up for it, next week and right after that. Friday the 13th, which of course is a perfect date to choose. And this will be in the meeting recap, but Friday the 13th from noon to 1 o'clock, and also Monday the 16th from 3 to 4 p.m. So come talk. We're a Zoom link and all that will be sent out soon. No reservations necessary. We'll talk about the mission. We'll talk about the areas of focus for Club 31. We'll talk about the service interest questionnaire that many of you filled out last week, and other questions, concerns. It's kind of wide open to put stuff on the table and talk and have fun just talking about the future of Club 31 in sort of an informal way, but we'll have some things to present and talk about, structured conversations. So those dates will come out in the recap. Back to you, Debbie.
Thank you, Jim, very much. And happy birthday coming up.
Thank you. Going to be 32.
All right. So we have a relief video of the District Wildfire Disaster Relief Group that Ian Campbell actually helped put together. So I would like Ian to introduce the video.
Yeah, thanks, Debbie. At the district level, we have a natural disaster response committee that for District 5450, and it's a way for our district to help to kind of rise up and help to respond to the needs, to challenges that might be that might be coming up as a result of specific natural disasters. Things like the fires in Oregon we responded to, and now, of course, East troublesome fires here in Colorado have been obviously, as we all know, causing some issues. And so they during the course of our committee discussions, I offered to create a video for fundraising purposes and whatnot, and I'm looking. Excuse me, and I'm excited to have that shared here at my home club, and it's being shared around other county area, or I'm sorry, other district clubs through the district newsletter and different things like that, and with some other organizations as well. So with that, I'll let the video do the talking and go from there. This will also be available in the recap as well, so you can watch it Zoom free.
Ian, do you think we're having Zoom latency issues? Can you show it?
Okay, so
It's not over. The area around Grand Lake was hit the worst so far, but there's probably more chapters in this story.
We've had about 4,000 people that have been displaced. And so we've had hotel rooms and food vouchers and restaurants donating food.
all right, so it looks like Lauren's computer has frozen up here. So give me 1 second and I will pull up mine and see if we can get a better result here.
It's not over. The area around Grand Lake was hit the worst so far, but there's probably more chapters in this story.
We've had about 4,000 people that have been displaced. And so we've had hotel rooms and food vouchers and restaurants donating food. Huge amount of outpour from the community. The elementary school has tons of food. They're looking for new clothing, no used clothing, but new clothing. And I think it's going to be a long-term recovery.
7 firemen that are fighting the fire have lost their homes to Grand Lake firefighters. So most of those guys are volunteers too.
A young man spent a year and a half building his own house. He designed it. He cut the logs. He set the logs. He built the house. And it is completely gone right now. And he just finished it. It was a year and a half of his life spent making this house, and now it is ash.
Cameron Peak Fire is the largest fire ever in Colorado history. And the #2 fire, my understanding, is East Troublesome. So.
Cash is king. That's really what needs to happen. And then we can reimburse businesses that have supported. I mean, restaurants just jumped in and started out of pocket giving food. So anything we can do to help the community in that direction is huge.
There is a District 5450 Natural Disaster Response Committee that tackles issues of this sort. We attend as best as we can to assist in this particular regard as well.
There's going to be a lot of people displaced for a long time.
All right, so that was the so yeah, that was that. You know, obviously there's a lot happening. Like I said, that video is going to be shared in the recap. You're welcome to share it with anybody that you think should see it as well. The URL at the end there was district5450relief.com, and that actually takes you to the NRDC page on the district website. So again, that's district5450relief.com. I'll drop that in the chat too. But yeah, so, and it looks like we've got Lauren back, but so we're operating at full capacity now. But Debbie, I will pass it on back to you.
Whew, full capacity, that's what I like. That was an amazing video, and I was looking to see if Felicia was on the phone, but I know from watching her Facebook feed that she was safe through that, and so that is good to know, but very much a devastated area, so thank you for sharing. Harriet Downer will now do our good news buckets. Harriet is a Denver Rotary Club Foundation trustee, and she is also the president and owner of Logical Connections. So think of your good news. Harriet?
Thank you, President Debbie. And I am Thank you, President Debbie. I'm posting the link in the chat. I don't know when I went muted, so you get the repeat announcement. All right. After that amazing video, Ian, thank you. Purpose of the Red Bucket is sharing news and updates with your fellow Rotarians and our guests. We ask for a minimum contribution of $20, and you can post it to the link that I just posted in the chat to DRCF through the rest of this year. And Lauren will include the same link in the after meeting summary. If you've got good news to share, raise your hand, and Debbie, Lauren, and I will look for raised hands, or you can post it, raise your hand in the participant list as well. So anyone have good news?
I see Rob Clinton.
All right, Rob, and then next we'll go to Pam Adams. Rob, unmute yourself and go ahead.
Not to unmute. Thanks very much. On the theory that 2 announcements are better than 1, I just want to reemphasize what Troy mentioned earlier, and that is the special Rotary bonus program next Wednesday evening. This would have been an in-person program, but for the shutdown of travel and the pandemic. So you'll be seeing a link in the meeting recap, and something else may be sent separately. And it's a Zoom link to join the Denver Council on Foreign Relations with Constance Stelzenmuller, again next Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. She's going to be talking about the consequences of the U.S. elections for the Transatlantic Alliance. She is the daughter of a German diplomat. She's the senior fellow in the Center on the U.S. and Europe at the Brookings Institution. And she's also a former director of the Berlin office of the German Marshall Fund. And I think it'll be an extraordinary evening to hear a different and highly informed perspective. She's also a doctor of laws in Germany and speaks 4 languages. So we hope you'll join us. If you do sign up for the Zoom link, on the Zoom link, which we encourage you to pre-register, you'll get a couple of reminders in advance. So it's just another Rotary Extra, and we hope we'll have some good participation from those of you interested in international affairs. Thanks very much.
Rob, thank you. And we'll go to Pam Adams next. I'm not seeing any hands for after Pam. So Pam, go for it.
All righty, thanks a ton, Harriet, and thanks for including the information was just shared on the Trumbullson fire, and thanks to everyone who reached out checking on the status of our family cabin in Grand Lake. We are super fortunate to be in the town of Grand Lake and thus survived fine through the fires, but it's scary up there and super sad to see some of the folks that didn't. So thanks to everyone and to all those firefighters out there as well. Oh, and my background is a picture I took at Grand Lake when just the start of the Cameron Peak fire, one of those days, just how it kind of affected the sky rising up there. So if folks aren't familiar with Grand Lake, that's a view looking at Mount Baldy.
Thank you very much, Pam. And any other hands? Andre, I'm getting seasick. You're supposed to be hiking out. On your
Harriet, I've got one. Seems fitting that I throw $20 in the foundation bucket for this, since I failed to include it in the announcements, but just wanted to let everybody know that the Rotary office will be closed all next week while I am on vacation.
Thank you, Lauren, for the update. Well deserved. Thank you. And anyone else? I think we all should be congratulated on making it to November through Halloween and something that happened on Tuesday that's still going on.
And now if we can just make it through November.
Right, exactly. All right, and with that, Debbie, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. For our program introduction today, Nanda, professor at law at Stern College of Law, University of Denver, will be making our introduction. So I will turn it over to our esteemed colleague, Nanda.
Well, thank you very much, President Debbie and my fellow Rotarians. I'm deeply privileged, honored to welcome as a Rotary speaker today, my Chancellor, Jeremy Haefner. You have seen on his bio what an accomplished scholar, superb administrator he is. As a dean, as a provost, he has accomplished a whole lot in so many places. And now we are deeply honored to have him as our chancellor. University of Denver has been very fortunate to have a wonderful group of people as chancellors. But the one that we recently remember, a Denver icon, Dan Ritchie. Jeremy Haefner is a worthy successor to Dan Ritchie. And in your bio, you saw many things, but you didn't see that Jeremy is an Ironman racer. He has done many Ironmans, but now recently, last month, he did a virtual Ironman, 2.5 miles swimming. That is in our own pool at the University of Denver, 170 of those lengths, 112 miles on the bike, 26.2 miles run. And along with that, you'll also be pleased to know that he's a big Star Trek fan. Now, he is a person who embodies the qualities that every Rotarian has or should have: an iron will, warm heart, a person who's caring and compassionate. But at the same time, I want you to know that at the university, he has brought a new spirit. He has brought at the university wonderful morale. And during the last several months, all the constituents of the university, he has been constantly in touch. I think, fellow Rotarians, let me give you an ideal Rotarian. And I hope that as this coronavirus goes away, I'm going to request him to join our club. Here is Jeremy Haefner, my friend.
Well, thank you, Professor Nanda, for such lovely words that you said about me. I'm not sure I'm worthy of all those words, and especially to be compared to Chancellor Emeritus Dan Ritchie, but I am deeply honored and privileged. To the rest of you, I first of all thank you for inviting me to be a part of your program today. It's an absolute honor to share with you some ideas that we are bringing to the University of Denver and to the city of Denver itself. I also want to, of course, acknowledge my dear friend, Ved Nanda, who last year I had the wonderful opportunity to acknowledge and award the Founders Medal to. He's the first faculty recipient of the University of Denver Founders Medal. And I think it goes without saying almost that I couldn't think of a more deserving individual than Ved Nanda. He is an icon for this university. So Ved, thank you so much. I am very pleased to present to you a short conversation, talk, if you will, about character and why it matters and what we're doing about it at the University of Denver. To begin with, the journey that I have for us is really divided into three different areas. I'm going to give you a brief update about the University of Denver because I'm so proud of this university. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about character. And then I'll close with a little bit about what we're going to do at the University of Denver to explore character. So I hope you'll find this interesting and maybe even a little thought-provoking. So let me go ahead and start a little bit about where the University of Denver is today. As I mentioned, I am so proud of the university, especially as it has navigated incredible challenges that you are all aware of, from the COVID pandemic to the racial unrest, and of course, to the anxiety of our presidential election process. We have an amazing group of faculty and students and staff that have really stepped up to bring the true character of this university forward. This fall quarter, we welcomed over 8,000 students back to campus physically. We had over 14,000 students enroll at the university. 55% of those students are graduate students. But the amazing thing for me is we've had more than 200 undergraduate students come back to campus than we anticipated. So enrollments are incredibly strong, and I want you to remember that in just a moment. Throughout the crisis that we have been navigating, health and safety has been paramount for us. But the educational experience is right behind it, because we know that that's how the university has developed its great reputation and how the university will continue to develop its great reputation. I think part of our success is an amazing partnership that we've had with National Jewish Health. They are the #1 respiratory hospital in the country, and so we couldn't have picked a better partner to help us navigate through the challenges of responding to the COVID virus. With them, we have administered more than 20,000 PCR tests. As uncomfortable as those are, those have been integral to helping us contain the virus at the university. We've just launched a saliva test. So the new tests that help us just, instead of going up the nasal cavity, but just to use a little bit of saliva is now new to the university. We're leaders really with using wastewater as a proactive approach for helping us understand where the virus might be occurring. We've done contact tracing, both manual and digital. We're carefully watching positivity rates, both on campus and in the city. We're doing constant symptom monitoring of everyone. We are doing a very thorough job, and I couldn't thank my faculty and staff more for what they're doing. But they're doing even greater job because we've introduced teaching modalities. So all of our courses are either online, face-to-face, or a hybrid of those two. And I'm very proud of the fact that over 50% of our classes that we offered in the fall quarter had some component of face-to-face. This is incredibly important to our students because that's the niche that we're well known for. Our students have always said to us, it's that interaction between the faculty that makes the University of Denver so special. And I talk to alums and they echo that years after they've graduated from the University of Denver. Our hockey team is about to start competition in November, and I'm really looking forward to that. I think the student athletes are as well. So what does this say about the University of Denver right now? Well, as the saying goes, never waste a good crisis, and the University of Denver has not done that. We've been incredibly reflective over this opportunity. Is this a time for us to change our business model, to pivot and go in a different direction? But the students told us what the answer was. The students came back in record numbers for the University of Denver. And so our niche has been reaffirmed, in my opinion. And yet the competition that we face is only going to get stiffer, harder, more increased. There are going to be fewer high school graduates in the future. The demographics are going to change on us. The fact that the cost of education is such a market condition these days for universities. So we have to differentiate, we have to stand out. We also have to really say, what is the value of the cost of the education of the University of Denver? And think about it in terms of enhancing that in a substantial way. So what you're going to see today is a real effort to look at the long-term sustainability of this institution, to look at how we're advancing this university, how we're going to make it stronger and better for the long term. And because we want to be here, and what the University of Denver has to offer is so special that the industry of higher education deserves to have the university. So there are three aspects that you're going to see today. First of all, you're going to see some pretty pictures of some brand new buildings. These are called the Denver Advantage project that we have at the university. And they're literally laying the ground for the reinvention of the student experience. This is our long-term play, if you will. Because when the students came back to us in the fall, they said, it's experience that matters to us. The experience of engaging with professors like Nanda. It's the experience of working with our staff. It's the experience of working with each other. So these brand new buildings are all about student experience. This is a picture of the Damone Family Residential Village, a brand new 500-bed residential hall that is designed to increase community. And students are reacting in just the way it was designed. They're building friendships like never before. This is a picture of the Burwell Center for Career Achievement. And this is all about connectivity, because we are connecting students with alumni, with employers, in a way that starts from the moment they get on campus, thinking about their careers that lie ahead of them after the University of Denver. These two buildings are already open, and a third building will open in January. And this will truly be transformational to the student experience here at the University of Denver. This will be the Community Commons, a brand new student union. It will house all of our student affairs activities, but most importantly, it will allow collaboration like never before. All of our dining, all of the dining will now be located in this one spot. So think for a moment the friendly collisions that'll happen between faculty, staff, and students that we've never had before. These three buildings serve as the foundation for our new student experience. And I'm going to tell you more about the next one in just a moment. It's called the FourDimensional Experience. And I can't wait to share that with you. But I'm going to talk a little bit just for a moment or two about character, because it matters. It matters a lot. And why does it matter? Well, I don't know how much I need to build a case around this in today's environment, but I will share with you that I think this country has never been more divided than it is today. I think you'll agree with me on that. Partisanship is flourishing. We have an inability to work across lines, a lack of trust, a lack of respect, a lack of awareness, empathy, and especially a lack of humility. We can't even agree on what we disagree. We can't even disagree on what we agree. Why is this relevant? Because I think character is at the heart of this to a large extent. And as chancellor of a great university, it's my role to make sure that future generations of our graduates are imbued with those life skills that really enhance and help them explore what this character is about. Now, I'm not going to talk about character per se in terms of virtues or values, the things that maybe you're familiar with from Benjamin Franklin or some of the great philosophers here. And I'm certainly not going to talk about morality, although that is a topic of great interest in the subject of character. And I'm not even going to talk about character education, because that has come and gone and it has different political agendas behind it as well. What I want to talk to you about, though, is the journey to and through character. So what you see on your screen is a cover of the book, The Road to Character by David Brooks. Now, many of you have probably read this book, and I hope you have. And if you haven't, I highly recommend it, of course. And many of you are probably familiar with David Brooks. He's an incredibly well-known columnist. He teaches at Yale University, and he's authored many books in addition to The Road to Character. But one that's a favorite of mine also is The Social Animal, The Hidden Sources of Love, Character, and Success. But this book, The Road to Character, is a special favorite of mine. It, of course, was on the New York Times bestseller for many, many weeks. And what it does is literally explore the journey that certain individuals of character that David Brooks has identified has gone through in order to develop as individuals that we have known them. Those individuals include examples like Dwight Eisenhower and George Marshall, Dorothy Day, the Bernard Rustin, Samuel Johnson, just to name a few. But each one of them, he tells the story of how these individuals have grappled with their flaws, the things that matter in building character. The book really lays a foundation for this by thinking about the greatest generation. And I bet many of us listening here are part of the baby boomer generations whose parents might have come from the greatest generation. My father served in World War II. He was in the Pacific Theater, so I put a picture up there to represent that. A dear friend of mine who's a trustee at the university, his father served in the 10th Mountain Division. It's something that is very special to the state of Colorado, of course. Why is that generation called the greatest generation? Well, I think we all could say there was remarkable courage, remarkable responsibility, commitment for a greater cause that they brought to the table. And that generation is also, I think, characterized by a good sense of humility. It's a generation that also has flaws, like every generation, and we have to acknowledge that. And those flaws, I think, are what are critical in David Brooks's book, because his conjecture is people of great character have struggled with their crooked timber, to refer to the quote from Immanuel Kant down there, in the valley of humility. It is this structure that allows them to climb to the heights of character. And the quote from the book is, "The most important thing is whether you are willing to engage in moral struggle against yourself." It's that valley of humility, in David Brooks's opinion, that makes these individuals in his book so special. They've gone through it, they've struggled with their flaws and come out of it better individuals, individuals that we have benefited from. So what does this have to do with the University of Denver? Well, that's what I'm excited to share with you about. So in this last little part of my conversation with you, I want to tell you a little bit of how we are exploring character at the University of Denver. And it's all grounded on this second piece of our reinvention of the student experience that we are calling the four-dimensional experience. It's a way of looking at how students spend their time in the classroom and out of the classroom in a way that we can help them achieve life skills that are going to be so important for them as they move forward. So the four dimensions are intellectual growth, which is represented by the amazing curriculum and the amazing faculty that we have here at the University of Denver. But it's also about professional development. You saw earlier a beautiful picture of the Burwell Center for Career Achievement, and we have developed a unique set of programs that really help students think about their careers. But the four-dimensional experience really, I think, shines by looking at those last two dimensions, a focus on well-being, on social, emotional, spiritual, and physical, and even financial. But the last one is relevant for today, and that is to explore character, encourage awareness, responsibility, respect, and ethics. What is the essence of the four-dimensional experience? Well, as you know, when a student comes to the University of Denver or any university, they enroll in our academic programs, and there's a curriculum, and they have courses that they need to take, and it's a pretty clear pathway of how they achieve that intellectual growth. But they also have considerable time outside the classroom in the co-curricular experiences, in the co-curricular environment. And it's in those experiences that, Professor Nanda, if you'll let me say this, they learn even more than they learn in the classroom. It's those experiences working with colleagues, working with faculty one-on-one, where they really truly develop into individuals, into young adults, adults with a character in mind. So it's an intentional approach about using that co-curricular environment. And in particular, it really is exploring how they're going to weave together these experiences. So think about it this way. A student comes to campus. They could be an undergraduate. They could be a graduate student in the Stern College of Law. And what we're going to ask them to do is, from the moment they get started here with us, is to design a pathway of experiences that are outside the classroom. These experiences could be like study abroad, or an internship, or an undergraduate research opportunity. They could be working in some of the law clinics that we have. But for them to be intentional to design a pathway. Now they'll work with a board of advisors to help them design that. We'll have a faculty, we'll have an alum. We may even have an upper divisional student to help them design this pathway. We know that students are passionate about certain topics like sustainability or social justice. Let's make sure that these pathways have a theme to them. But most importantly, each pathway will weave through these 4 dimensions: intellectual, professional, well-being, and character. And where they will actually learn these life skills is through the reflection. This board of advisors that we'll design for them will help them reflect, help them say, okay, what did you actually learn about leadership from your involvement with student government? What did you learn about resiliency when you went overseas for your study abroad? What went wrong and how did you recover from that? Those are invaluable lessons that sometimes without reflection get lost. But with the 4-dimensional experience, our students will have that opportunity to have those life experiences come to life. Why is this important? Why is the 4-dimensional experience? Well, first and foremost, it's about our students. Our students are amazing. They come to the university. They are gifted in many ways. They are passionate. They are thirsty. They are curious. So they deserve to have a holistic approach to their educational experience at the University of Denver. And this 4-dimensional experience will give that structured educational to the whole person. And it will also do something that we have strived to do over the years of our existence here at the university, and that is to create champions for the public good. Champions who are also going to lead lives of purpose and to have a sense of fulfillment that work can provide or life in general can provide. But finally, it's also about the university. As I said, we're reinventing the student experience as a way of differentiating the university, as a way of adding value to what we already offer. It will enhance our reputation, of course. It will further advance our vision to become a great private university for the public good, but it will ensure these lives of purpose of our students. And that's why I'm so excited about this 4-dimensional experience. So where does the character exploration really come in, and what does it look like from a student's point of view? Well, think about the set of experiences that maybe you had when you went to the university or the college. You might have done a study abroad. You might have had an internship. You might have worked on service learning of some kinds. The fact of the matter is that inside those experiences are ways of really thinking about character, right? We all bring our flaws to these experiences, and sometimes those flaws can create successes, and sometimes those flaws can create failures. It's that reflection that I hope students begin to have that allows them to peer down to realize that there is a valley of humility. And they may not walk down in that valley of humility while at the University of Denver, but my goal here, our goal here, is to at least make them aware that that valley of humility is there. It's waiting for them. It's an opportunity for them to struggle with their crooked timber, and really emerge out of that valley a stronger person, a better person. I think this reflection will be key. This picture of a valley here is reminiscent of the beautiful landscape that we enjoy here at the in the state of Colorado. And I strongly am a proponent that outdoor leadership, outdoor education is a way that we can really enhance this four-dimensional experience. It's a way that we can help students explore their character. I do hope that we create opportunities in the mountain, maybe have a physical location there where we can take every student in teams and develop those life skills of working together, working across differences, working across a better understanding for what our country needs, what the world needs right now. So by the time graduation occurs, the students will have critically reflected on the development of their values, attitudes, knowledge, and behaviors to live, collaborate, and communicate with purpose and across the differences that we have today. I believe really strongly that the future of the University of Denver depends on really making the holistic educational experience a signature item for the university. And by graduating students who will be equipped with these kinds of life skills will help, of course, our country and our world solve some of the greatest challenges that lie ahead. And with that, I'm so pleased to stop and turn it over to President Debbie. But I'll just close with this one last statement. At the University of Denver, character matters, but the path to character matters even more. So thank you for listening. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Haefner. That was really timely and wonderful. Professor Ved suggested that we do an informal poll. I'm going to change my view to gallery. So raise your hand if you have a degree from DU, whether it's undergraduate or a law degree like my husband, or if you've gone to any of their enrichment programs or have children. Raise your hand if you've have some kind of connection to DU.
Wow. Yay. I love it.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. I did ask for folks to queue up questions to me, so I do have several in the hopper. So let me start with a fun question around, will fans be allowed at DU hockey this year?
That's a great question. I wish I knew the answer to that one. You know, the current state of Denver and the state of Colorado right now in terms of the COVID virus is one where the numbers are increasing, unfortunately. And the size of how our gatherings is quite limited. But it is my hope and my expectation that we will have a very limited set of participants, fans that can come and watch the game. We need to develop this capacity. We need to hit this head on. So I am hopeful that some fans will be allowed back into the Magnus Arena.
Oh, thank you. Another question starts with the thank you to you and Professor Ved Nanda for doing such wonderful things at DU. You both make a great contribution to DU and our larger community. Question, generally, how is COVID impacting the financial well-being of DU, and what changes are being generated at the university that will be long-term or permanent?
Great question. COVID did have a significant financial impact on the university, just in terms of the expenses, the testing, the dedensification, the signage, all these things is well over $20 million that the university has invested in just to be proactive and assure the health and safety of our community members. And that's not at all even indicating to the loss of revenue that we have because the Newman Center for the Performing Arts is not able to be in full swing and so forth. In terms of long-term effects, that's a really great question. I will tell you that in my humble opinion, I am seeing a very rapid trend towards graduate education moving online. I think graduate students, people who are working already and who want to advance their careers through advanced degrees are going to find it much more readily available in an online environment. And we are learning to deliver that online environment in a way that is even more effective than it was 10 or 15 years ago. So I think graduate education is going to be very digital in the future. We will still have great graduate programs face-to-face, particularly our professional programs like the Sturm College that's offered by the Sturm College of Law. I think some of those will continue to have that great didactic environment. At the undergraduate level, I think we will see slowly some changes from undergraduates wanting to have more online degrees, but largely still really focused on the face-to-face. We will see students wanting to have the convenience of the technology that allows face-to-face and online at the same time. It's what we call high flex technology. It's very challenging to teach in that environment, but it is a way where if a student gets sick, is able to stay in their residence halls or in their apartment and still benefit from the lecture without missing important materials. So those are two big trends that I will see at the university moving forward. Thanks for that question.
Good question. The next question comes from Patrick Byrne, who is a leader of Denver Kids, which is a youth development organization serving youth within Denver Public Schools. So many of our students choose public universities because of the lower cost and the diverse student body. How is DU making education available to first-generation high school graduates, college students? And how are you creating a diverse community where first-generation students feel safe, supported, and can succeed academically and socially?
Yeah, it's another great question. Thank you for sharing that. You know, our cost of tuition on the sticker price is quite high, but we put in a tremendous amount of financial aid. That really comes, much of it comes from the tuition dollars that we collect. So the tuition dollars we collect goes right back to the students who are in most need of financial aid. I think close to $100 million of the tuition we collect goes back to financial aid. Also, we have our endowment that generates considerable scholarship money that goes towards the financial needs of our students in that regard. This year, we had the most diverse first-year class ever. At 26% of our incoming class were students of color. And so we're quite proud of that. That's the largest percentage we've had. Of even greater percentage of students are first generation, students who are also on Pell Grants, which is an indication of great financial need as well. So the university is incredibly dedicated to having more students of color, having more students of diverse background, having more students with a diversity of thought for that matter. But it's not just enough to recruit them, we have to retain them. And students of first generation in particular are new to the university, which is you know, a complex organization to navigate. So we have a number of programs that we offer that have this high touch impact for these students, helping them understand what decisions they need to make, what opportunities are available to them, what experiences should they take advantages of. So I think from that perspective, we're doing an incredible job. I think part of the reason that differentiates us from public universities is our very small student to faculty ratio that you won't find at many of the public universities. We're 12 students to every faculty member. And I said it's that interaction between students and faculty that matters the most to our students. Thanks for asking that question.
We have time for one more question and then we'll conclude. Are coronavirus and politics driving away international students that have in the past been a big part of DU student population?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'd say it's probably the current political environment that we find ourselves in that has been the biggest barrier to our international students. We have seen a precipitous decline in international students. We're not alone. Every university has seen that. decline happen. And that's at a real loss to the university, because that international student brings so much to the educational broad experience of all the other students or our faculty or our staff for that matter. It excites our students to go on study abroad by their descriptions of their home country and their culture. And that international experience is so important to building character, as I've mentioned before. So we're working carefully within the confines of what the legal requirements are to help make sure that our international students feel safe and protected here at the university, and that we're doing more than ever to make sure that we have a strategy of how we recruit additional international students at a time when they're wary of coming over to the United States. I hope soon that we will return to an environment where international students are truly welcomed, because they form a great part of what makes this country so wonderful to live in.
Well, with that, I would like to share a couple of comments that are in the chat that went to everyone. So you may have already seen this, but thank you from Jack Green for the extraordinary job engaging the broader community. And also from Patrick Byrne, thank you for the thoughtful response. Patrick has graduated from and teaches at the DU School of Social Work. So great program and facility, or faculty, I mean, and appreciate your time today. On behalf of your speech and your program that you shared with us today, our club will be donating to the End Polio Now program. It's Rotary's goal to eradicate polio across the world. We will inoculate 33 children on your behalf, and with the 2-to-1 Bill and Melinda Gates match, that will inoculate 100 children.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, thank you. That's powerful and impactful.
Thank you. Next week's Zoom program will be a week from today. It will be a Zoom meeting, and it will be a 2020 election retrospective, a year we will never forget. We will have returning speaker Eric Sonderman, who is a political commentator and consultant. I've heard him on the radio this week. Should be an interesting meeting next week. I'd like to also go through our 4-way test.
Madam President?
Yes.
May I interrupt just briefly? My name is Sharon Green. I'm the president of Rotary, Crystal New Hope Robbinsville, and I just wanted to thank you all for allowing me to attend your meeting today.
We are
Thank you, everybody.
We're grateful that you were able to join us.
Thank you.
So please follow along of the 4-way test. Of the things we think or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Very much in line with our program today. A quick reminder, the office is closed next week. If you need anything in Lauren's vacation absence, please reach out to me or to Troy Szymanski. And another plug for Rob Clinton's add-on exceptional program that you'll see in the meeting recap. With that, we are adjourned, and I will ring the bell. Thank you, everybody.